All right, so I just sold one of my businesses for multiple six figures. I know it sounds like I'm bragging. I promise you I'm not, and that is not what this video is about. But stick around so that you can find out what it is I bought and what it is I did not buy, and I think you're gonna be surprised. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Tariq Johnson. I built a multi-million-dollar franchise business with locations in California and in Florida. And I actually just created a video on exactly how I did that, what the process was like, the franchise business that I actually invested in. So you can check out that video in the description below if you're curious. Also, consider subscribing to the channel. As of the day of this video, I'm at 1,111 subscribers. Yes, that is 1111 subscribers. Today is November 28th, 2020 as of recording of this video. And my goal is to get to over 100,000 subscribers a little bit over a year from now by December 31st, 2021. So I'd appreciate it if you help me out, hit the subscribe button and follow along my journey. Also, make sure to tap that little like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps the videos out. It helps it to get seen. So just hit ding, tap it. All right, so let's check out some of these Ferraris. All right, so looking at some of these Ferraris, as we start scrolling down, I'm looking at about 500 miles within around my area. The first one that pops up is this 2005 Ferrari F430. It's got 24,000 miles, about $96,000. Gray is actually the color that I'd really like to get. Here you got a little bit later edition, so you got a 2008 Ferrari F430 for $139,000. Let's start scrolling down because there was one that I saw, aha. Let's click on this one. So this is a 2006 Ferrari F430 Spider, and this is pretty much the exact Ferrari that I actually have on my desktop, on my computer. As you can see, it's a convertible, and this is just a beautiful looking car. I mean, look at this thing. So for $107,000, only 5,700 miles, you can get a Ferrari F430. Again, guys, this is one of my dream cars, and after having sold the business, I could be buying this for cash right now. But let's come back to the Ferrari in just a minute. So I actually sold the business about 2 months ago. I sold it in September of 2020. And let's just take a look at what I've actually bought so far after selling the business. All right, so one of the things I bought is this Dell laptop. I'm actually really excited about this laptop because I was using the same laptop for about the last 2 or 3 years. And this thing was probably about a 6 or 7 year old laptop. Now guys, I could have bought another laptop if I wanted to, but I tend to be pretty cheap and pretty frugal. I really don't like spending money. So I just kind of made do with the laptop. So I spent about $2,000 getting a laptop, getting a new monitor, getting a new mouse, and some other things. The cool thing about getting the laptop is it's all considered a business expense. So after spending that $2,000, I get to write it off for taxes. So those are one of the benefits of owning a business, is that you can buy something and yeah, I mean, I use the laptop for business and then I can go ahead and write it off. So the other thing that I bought is I spent $7,500 on a business coach. And probably the better thing to say is I invested $7,500 to hire a business coach because it's really not spending money. So guys, Warren Buffett famously said, the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. So by investing in a business coach, I'm helping to improve my skill sets. I have someone to help hold me accountable. I'm very busy in building a business and a brand. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and it's actually an emotional roller coaster. So the business coach that I actually hired has actually done some of the things that I'm looking to do himself. He's got YouTube videos with over 300,000 views, and he's built a multiple six-figure business, creating a brand around himself and helping other people succeed and make money in working in their purpose. And so for me, making a $7,500 investment in a business coach to help better myself and get closer to my dreams and my desires was the easiest decision to make. And one of the other benefits, and this is not tax advice, but when you hire a coach and you're looking to educate yourself around your business, it's something else that you can look into writing off as a tax write-off. So far I spent $2,000 on a laptop, $7,500 on a business coach, and both of those things I intend to write off. So now yesterday I did actually splurge, and yesterday was Black Friday, so I went online and I bought 7 watches. I know it's crazy because I literally have not bought a watch. I haven't bought a single watch in the last 7 or 8 years. So to have just bought 7 watches in one day is nuts. But we'll get back to that in a second too. So I've spent 14 years in the financial services industry. I got my investment licenses 13 years ago. And when I first started out in financial services, my first job was as a teller. Not only was I a teller, I was a drive-through teller. So I literally sat in the back of the bank, pressing the button to the drawer. I mean, this was a while ago, so this is when most of the drive-through banks, they just had the button where the drawer went in and out and in and out. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about here. And so I would have the unique viewpoint of being able to see how much money were in people's accounts and what kind of car they were driving. And because of 14 years in financial services, I've actually had the unique viewpoint of being able to see thousands of people's financial situations at such an intimate level, seeing how much they make and how much they spend and how much they have in savings, how much they have in investments, and how much they have in retirement accounts. I mean, after doing this for so many years, I get to see people's financial situations in a way that 99% of people don't get to see it. And so going back to that first job when I was a teller at the bank, I remember so clearly doing deposits and withdrawals for some of the customers that came through the drive-through of the bank. And I remember having people coming through the drive-through that drove Mercedes and BMWs and Lexus and doing deposits and transactions for their accounts and seeing, oh wow, this person only has like $300, $400, $500 in their account. That can't be. They're driving a Mercedes. They've got to be loaded. They've got to have some other money. Now, granted, just because they had a checking account where I was working doesn't mean that they didn't have accounts other places and could have had more money. But overall, there was a theme here. A lot of people that drove the nicer cars, generally speaking, didn't have a lot of money in their accounts. So I remember this older guy that used to come through the drive-thru at least once or twice a week. And I remember him so distinctly because he drove this beat up pickup truck. And I remember this guy would come through the drive-thru and he would hand me his checks and I would look at his account and he would always have no less than $40,000 in his checking account. And being an 18-year-old kid at the time, it just didn't make sense to me. I thought, why in the world does this guy have so much money in his account, but he's driving this beat up truck? I mean, this guy doesn't get it. Why doesn't he go out and buy a nicer car or a nicer vehicle? At the time, it was really me who didn't get it. And so 2 years ago, right before my wife and I moved from California to Florida, we kind of got caught up in the trap a little bit and we wind up buying a Cadillac Escalade Platinum. So when I say the Platinum is like the top of the line. This thing had 4 DVD screens in it. It was absolutely insane. And so I wind up selling that vehicle just 2 years ago, trading it in, and now I drive a Chevy Traverse. But here's the thing, the Chevy Traverse is completely paid for. The Cadillac Escalade, I was paying $1,100 a month, $1,100 a month for this Cadillac. I mean, it was nuts. It was a sick car. I remember driving from California to Florida when we drove, and the chairs in the Escalade would massage my back. I mean, it was amazing. But the thing was a boat, and it was really not that fun to drive. But here's the thing. The Chevy Traverse is completely paid for. So now there's no $1,100 a month payment. I drive this, super sexy, fancy car. Not really. but I have no car payment on the vehicle. So getting back to the Ferrari. So yes, right now, if I wanted to, I could drive this Ferrari and pay for it cash and have absolutely no monthly payment, and I'd be driving around in one of my dream cars. But consider for a second how much buying that car actually cost me. Yes, I know the price tag is $107,000, and let's just assume that I'd be able to negotiate the price down to $100,000 to make the numbers easy. But let's look at what it would actually cost for me to drive that car. So right now, some of the options that I have to do with that money is I can invest that money, and I can invest that money in stocks. As of this year, some of my investment portfolios are up about 50%. So let's be ultra conservative and say that I decided to invest that $100,000. Instead of buying the Ferrari, I took that $100,000, I put that in the stock market, and I was able to generate a 10% return on average for the next 10 years. What that means is that that $100,000 would grow to $259,374.25. So in reality, that Ferrari is not costing me $100,000. That Ferrari is actually costing me $259,000. So here's another investment opportunity that I have right now. Right now, I'm looking to buy another franchise. So if I were to buy this franchise business, it's on sale for about $200,000, or that's around the price what I think I could get the business for. So my plan would be to put $100,000 down on the business, so put $100,000 in cash to pay for the business, then take out a $100,000 SBA loan or business loan to finance the business. So the franchise business is an existing location, so I've already taken a look at the profit and loss statements for the last few years. So because it's an existing location, so I already know that the franchise business is making about $75,000 to $85,000 a year in income. So in this case, if I were to use that $100,000 to buy a business over the next 10 years, if I were to make an average income or average profits from the business of $80,000 a year, that means that $100,000 would generate $800,000 for me. And then let's assume that in 10 years, I could sell that business for the same price that I bought it for. Let's just be conservative, assuming that I didn't even grow the business at all, and I get my $200,000 back. That means that $100,000 generated over $1 million for me. So in that instance, that $100,000 Ferrari has actually cost me $1 million. Guys, real quick, if you do want to know how to create a profitable business, I did create a 7-step blueprint to business profits in 60 days. You can go ahead and grab it at my website. The link is down in the description below. And guys, if you stuck with me so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and stick around because soon I'm going to be telling you and sharing exactly what I do invest in future videos. So make sure you stay tuned for that. All right, so that's a lot of money, $1 million. I mean, look, as much as I really want a Ferrari, and I mean, this car is a beautiful car, and to think that I could just drive down to Naples right now and hand them a check and then just drive home in my Ferrari convertible, and how cool that would be to be driving around and going to the grocery store and have that feeling of driving my dream car and seeing all the heads that turn and conversations that get started. I mean, just the idea of talking about it right now makes me feel so exciting. But here's the reality. Even though it's a Ferrari, a car is a depreciating asset. And so taking that $100,000 and putting it in a Ferrari where I'm just gonna drive it and put more miles on it, and I'm gonna have maintenance costs, I'm gonna have to replace the tires, and I think we all know maintenance on a Ferrari is not going to be very cheap. I can take that $100,000, put it in the stock market as a completely passive investment, and I feel pretty confident that I can average 10% a year with my background in financial advising, all the experience that I have in investing, and quite frankly, I feel like I could generate a lot more than 10% a year. But let's stick with that 10% a year. That generates $259,000 out of that $100,000, Or I can buy a business where I have to be a little bit more active in running the business and getting things set up for the business and managing the business or hiring a management team, but it'll generate at least $80,000 a year for me. So here's what I did instead, going back to how I bought 7 watches. So again, yesterday was Black Friday and I felt the urge to shop. I really wanted to buy something because over the last few months of having sold the business, I've had all this money sitting in cash and haven't done anything with it. And actually, one of the things that I did with it is I took $25,000 out of that pool of money and I bought a couple of stocks just a couple of days ago. And that's the account that I'm already up 10% in. I mean, I literally have owned these stocks for 3 or 4 days. So already, only $25,000 of that money has already made me $2,500. But I was feeling excited and I really wanted to buy something, and I saw these watches and so many of them were on sale, so I bought 7 of them. But here's the thing, I didn't go crazy. I bought 7 watches for about $1,500. So the average watch cost was somewhere around $200 a watch. And then I had about $700 in credit card points from my business. So in the franchise location that I sold, I put as many things on the business credit card as I could, and I always paid the business credit card off every month. Some months the credit card bill would get to $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, and I always made sure to pay the credit card off in full. And so I had a bunch of points. And so I used those points. And so the amount that I actually spent on buying those 7 watches after credit card points is whopping $800. And yeah, I get it, $800 is still a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, $800 isn't $100,000. And if it takes only $800,000 for me to satisfy my craving and my itch to spend money and spend it on something that is really materialistic, then for me, it's an easy decision to make. And because I'm a little bit more frugal, and generally speaking, I really don't like spending money on things. I mean, it took me a few years just to buy a laptop. I mean, I could have bought the laptop a long time ago, but most of the time when I see something that I want, I wind up talking myself out of buying what it is that I want, because to me, it's more exciting to invest and save money so that I can keep working towards financial freedom for myself and my family. And I'd much rather go on a trip or have an experience with that money instead of buying material things. Because here's the thing, even though I'm super excited about those watches, I know that after about a month or two and having worn those watches 1 or 2 times each, the excitement is gonna fade. And not only is the excitement gonna fade, but then I'm gonna start looking at those $200 watches and I'm gonna start thinking, I really want a $2,000 watch. And then at some point, maybe I start looking at $20,000 watches. So the reality is, anytime that you buy something, it's fun, it's exciting. And look, at some point soon, I will be buying that Ferrari F430, and make sure you subscribe and stick around so that you can see when that day comes. I'll document that whole process because it certainly will be exciting. But for now, I'm gonna focus on saving and investing, building my wealth, and every time I get the desire to splurge or really scratch that itch of spending money, I'll do it on a smaller scale. Because right now, what's more important is creating financial freedom for my family, my wife, and our son, and investing for his college, and really investing in experiences that we can really treasure as a family, and investing in assets and businesses that create financial freedom for ourselves, and that way we can continue to build our wealth and continue to give back and donate and do a lot of great things with that money. So for right now, I'm not buying a Ferrari with that money, but at some point I will be, and stick around because it could be sooner than you think.